Hello and welcome to today's episode, in which I have a go at making a plant-based twist on chicken satay with a peanut dipping sauce. I can't remember what prompted the idea of having a go at making a plant-based version of chicken satay, but I've got a real craving for it, so I'm going to have a go and see what I can come up with. I've been cycling through ideas of what to use for the chicken component. Thought about making a wash flour seitan, but then that's a lot of work. My hands aren't great at the moment and it murders my hands. Then I remembered the kind of chicken Kiev mixture, which is tofu and buckwheat flour. So I kind of thought maybe I could use that and shape that on skewers. And then thought, if I'm doing tofu, why not just use like cubes of tofu instead? Because I've got a way of getting some extra flavour and texture into that. I will link to the vegan chicken Kievs and the wash flour vegan chicken that I've done if you wanted to try using that. I've prepped my tofu already. I took a 450 gram block of extra firm tofu, sliced that into 4 thick slabs, patted it really well on paper towels. I did that twice. The brand I used, Tofu, if you're in the UK, that's already pressed, so you don't need to do a lot of pressing. It's more kind of blotting off the surface moisture. Cut it down into fairly thick cubes, sprinkled over a tablespoon and a half of extra virgin olive oil, stirred everything to get every piece coated in a bit of oil, and then sprinkled over some of the chicken flavour stock powder. Again, maybe a tablespoon and a half, 2 tablespoons. And then that went into the air fryer. I did 7 minutes at 180, stirred it, did another 7 minutes at 180, stirred it again, and then did 7 at 170. And then I've just left them in the air fryer, so they're getting a bit of residual heat as well. My thought process on that is that you're going to have 6 sides that are going to have flavour and texture, whereas if I did the kind of Kiev mixture, it's a very consistent texture the whole way through, which isn't so interesting as you're biting it. So it's gone a little bit kind of chewy on the outside, but because I'm going to put it in a wet marinade, it'll soak up and soften that down a bit. I think I may have done chicken satay once before going vegan. You always find it on Thai menus. I think it might actually be Indonesian. Yes, the origin is from Indonesia, but it's quite commonly thought of in connection to Thai cuisine and Malaysian cuisine. I looked up recipes online and I've settled on basing mine around one I found on damndelicious.net. I'll link to the original in the description. It seems to be one of those recipes where you can do a very basic version or you can do a really complex one. I did find a classic Malaysian one where you either make the peanut sauce from scratch, like roasting raw peanuts and grinding everything down. I was tempted because the list of ingredients looked incredible. But it was a lot of work and a lot of ingredients that I didn't have, and I don't have a lot of money at the moment. I'm just going to use the same bowl that I did for the tofu, save a bit of washing up. So with coconut milk, as it stands in the cupboard, it separates. So I'm going to have to try and whisk this a little bit. Thankfully, it's summer, so the kitchen's not super cold. So I need a 1/4 cup of the coconut milk, which is 60 mils or 4 tablespoons. I'm going to double it because that's just not a lot of liquid, and tofu is going to soak more liquid into it than chicken would. I'll do 4 tablespoons of light soy sauce, so that's reduced salt. The original recipe wants curry powder and turmeric. I'm just going to use garam masala instead, which is like a spice mix. 4 of garam masala, and then I am going to do 2 of curry powder just because I'm running a bit low on the garam masala. So 2 of those. Going to mince in 6 cloves of garlic. I need to grate some fresh ginger, so I'm just going to use the side of a spoon, a little teaspoon, and just drag that across, and that'll take off the peel but leave behind all the flesh. The original recipe calls for 1 tablespoon of brown sugar, which, because I've doubled, will be 2. I think I'm going to just do the 1 and then taste it. I'm going to use dark brown soft sugar. Then I need fish sauce. Obviously don't have that, so I'm going to make something a bit similar. So I'm going to use the wakame, I've got some grated shiitake powder, and I've got white miso. It looks a bit like black tea, so I'll do a few of those, grind it up, if it will grind, which I don't think it is very well. I'm going to resort to the coffee grinder. I probably won't be able to get this down to a powder, before losing patience anyway, but we'll do what we can. So that's where we're at. I'm going to do a 1/4 teaspoon of that. Let's just chuck a bit more in. So maybe 1/2 teaspoon. 1/2 teaspoon of the shiitake powder, and a teaspoon of white miso paste. If you're using brown, probably do a bit less. That's all my ingredients. We'll go in with the whisk. Yeah, maybe I could have got away with half. Okay, so I'm going to check the flavour. Might do a bit more sugar. So I'm doing another teaspoon, but do it to your taste. I'm going to take half out and then I can freeze it. Add my tofu in. And give that a spoon through. So that is that for now. So I'll just put that to the side and let it do its thing. On to making the peanut dipping sauce. All the recipes I found say smooth peanut butter. I don't have any. So I'm going to use crunchy. I think it'll be nice to have a bit of crunch in there as well. So why not take advantage of that? And for something like this, you could probably get away with using, you know, like the supermarket basics version, because we're going to be putting other ingredients in that are quite powerful in flavour. I've kept the coconut milk there because I might add a bit into the dipping sauce. Unless you're using the sort of super commercial peanut butters, the kind of more natural peanut butters, the oil splits away from the solids. So just go in with a fork and give it a bit of a mix together. Because this is such a big pot, a lot of the solid has sunk right to the bottom. And then obviously I haven't mixed it as consistently as I could have done. And that is very, very thick. A tablespoon of soy sauce. Need a tablespoon of fresh lime juice. So I'm just gonna roll this on the counter just to break down the cells. Lets the juice out a bit easier. Tablespoon of the lime juice. It says 2 teaspoons of brown sugar. That's probably a heaped teaspoon. I'll do that and then I'll taste it. And then it says 2 teaspoons of garlic chili sauce. I think I know the type of garlic chili sauce that they mean. I've got this stuff from Singapore. It's super potent though. So I definitely won't be using 2 teaspoons, but you could use sriracha or whatever kind of hot sauce. Yeah, I'm going to start with like a 1/4 teaspoon because this one is really punchy. I'm kind of mashing it together. Okay, now it's at this paste stage. I need to add 2 to 3 tablespoons of water, the recipe says, but I might do coconut milk. Switch out for a spatula now that I've broken everything down. Check the flavour. I'm going to do a little bit more of the chilli. And now I'm going to add in a teaspoon of freshly grated ginger. And this is going to be way more peanut sauce than I need, so I'll stick this in the freezer as well. And then I've got another batch. I'll have a quick look at the tofu. That's been marinating for about 15 minutes or so. I think I might have gone a bit far with the tofu when I air fried it. So maybe don't do the last 7 minutes, or just do the 14 at 180. In an ideal world, I'd marinate the tofu for a couple of hours, but it's 5:45. I'm in a lot of pain today, so it was a very slow start to the day. So I'll probably do an hour. I'm going to do mine in the air fryer, but you can do it on the barbecue, in a pan, in the oven, however you want. If you're going to use bamboo skewers, you want to soak them in water for about, well, at least half an hour so they don't burn. I'll thread a couple on camera, and then I'm going to preheat the air fryer, which will be noisy. Nothing needs to be cooked as such because tofu you can eat raw anyway, and they've already been cooked. So really it's just about getting that marinade nice and sunk in. I found some of these pre-cut liners. Of course, these are like 2 inches smaller than the air fryer, so I'll use a few of them. Just dry those off a little bit. And if I see any pieces of the seaweed, I'm going to take those off. That's why it would have been better to get the seaweed down to a powder. So I've got like 7 cubes, fairly self-explanatory, just stab into one end and then slide down. I've got sunflower oil in a spray bottle, so I'm going to do several squirts in the air fryer, and then I'll preheat it at 160, which is like 320, 325 Fahrenheit. I'll do them in a single layer, so if necessary, I'll do 2 batches. I think I'll get all of those in though. 4 or 5 minutes, and then perhaps flip them over and do another 4 or 5, something like that. I'm going to check them after 3 minutes, because then I can just use the preheat setting. This frankly delicious looking satay is all ready to be chomped on. And let me tell you, the smells coming out of the air fryer have been, amazing. I'm going to go in for a dunk. Yes. Perfect. That's looking great. And the sauce is very clingy. The only time clinginess is acceptable. Let's have a go. Those flavours are amazing. The flavours, there's lots of umami, but then fresh zinginess, a little bit of heat. The texture is good. I like that the centre is very, not soft, but tender. And then the outside, you've got more of a chew. But next time with that other batch, I'm just going to do naked cubes and do it from there, just to see, because I think the flavours of the marinade are punchy enough that it doesn't necessarily need that extra dimension of flavour from the chicken stock. In the peanut sauce, I do like that there's a little chunks of peanut. It just gives a nice bit of crunch every now and then. If I had the choice, personally, I'd go for the crunchy peanut butter. It'd be quite nice to try maybe alternating, doing a block of tofu and then a block of like a vegan chicken piece. If you buy/make some vegan chicken pieces and maybe do a piece of tofu, a piece of chicken, you know, and alternate it, and then you give a bit of flavour and texture difference. That'd be really nice to try. Might be quite nice with like a bit of a chunk of onion in between each slice as well, just to give a nice little bit of sweet silkiness in there. I don't think that's traditional, but I think it'd be quite nice. Yeah, I might try that next time. What you could also do is turn it into a salad. So get Chinese leaf Napa cabbage, I think it's called in the States. It's got a crunch of cabbage, but it's soft like lettuce almost, or use an iceberg type thing. Shred that down. Do maybe shredded cucumber, shredded carrot, like nice crunchy fresh things. Toast off some peanuts and then mix in your cubes of tofu or chicken, whatever you do. And then you could potentially thin the peanut sauce down a bit more with maybe some water, something like that, just so it's more of a dressing, and then just drizzle the dressing, the sauce over the top of it. Or you could do it as a lettuce wrap. So if you get iceberg and take off the whole leaf, and then you've got like a little wrap almost, so a bit like a vegetable tortilla, and then load up stuff in the middle, and then drizzle on your sauce, and you've got a little package, and then you just chomp into it. You could even get some of the, you know, like the vermicelli noodles, the really thin glass looking ones, and deep fry those, and they kind of puff up, and it's really nice and crisp. So you could put that at the bottom, and then put your other bits on top. I got 8 skewers altogether, which, you know, it's a ½ kilo block, which is about £1 US weight. So it's not bad. And once, I mean, it's a bit fiddly in that you've got to mix different ingredients, but you know, it doesn't take long at all. You could also make up a huge batch of the marinade and freeze it. I'm assuming the coconut milk will freeze all right. It will separate, but then you just whip it back together. I'm going to say hi and thank you to my community on Patreon for buying me all the delicious ingredients for this recipe. If you haven't come across it before, Patreon's a platform where you can subscribe to various creators, like there's artists, painters, musicians, YouTube creators, all kinds of different people, and you pay different tiers and you get some added benefits, and it's just a really nice way of showing a bit of support. If you'd like to sign up and help me buy some ingredients so I can keep making videos for you, I'll leave the link to my Patreon in the description for you. If you'd like to get lots more plant-based twists on classic recipes, like this video and subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications and you'll get an alert as soon as I publish a new one. And then while you're waiting for the next one, have a look at this.